Everything today is happening in Eldoret. The suspects of the Finland-Canada airlift scholarship program scandal, at least some of the suspects, are said to have been in Eldoret, although former Governor Jackson Mandago is already in police custody. And those suspects of the Finland-Canada scholarship scam are in Eldoret because the 10th Devolution Conference is taking place in that same Eldoret. Indeed, it started today. And some very interesting remarks by Ruto also came out of Eldoret today. Right, let's get this show on the road. Now, based on the remarks of the founder and the leader of the UDA party, which is in the ruling Kenya Kwanza coalition, when you say negative things about a government, you are against that government. That is what I captured. And fuel subsidies are a negative thing. That is exactly what I captured. You know, people have been saying we are back in the Moi days. But this is conclusive proof that indeed that is true. Because in the Moi days, people used to say, wewe unapiga serikali. In other words, if you tell your wife that blue does not suit her, she's better suited, her color is really yellow, wewe unapiga bibi. Yes, that's what you mean. In my opinion, that is very backward thinking. Okay? Number one. Number two, it is not in the spirit of our 2010 Constitution. But let us finish with this fuel subsidy manenos. Now, the government says that it has not restored fuel subsidies, and that what actually happened is that they used the Petroleum Development Levy, for fuel price stabilization. Kizungu mingi sana. Now I'm going to need some assistance from you, to assist me, because English ilikuja na meli. If you take funds from the Petroleum Development Levy, and you use them to cushion fuel prices so that they don't go over 200 shillings per liter, what are you doing? Are you subsidizing fuel prices, or are you not? Please assist me. I am ready to be corrected. Please educate me on another way you can stabilize prices. Can you hold them up with your hand, or look for something to hold those prices? Let us just speak the truth. The current government is very unique. In all my life, I have never seen a government like this one. Where semantics are so critical. Where subsidizing anything on the consumption side is criminal. And because it is criminal, you do it and then use different language to describe what you have done. Teacher, I didn't steal the mangoes. I just climbed up into the tree and I plucked them out, and I wanted to keep them in a safe place. I didn't steal mangoes. I didn't. All I did was to climb the tree, pluck them out, to put them in a safe place. And a safe place may include my stomach. That is taking semantics to an extreme. And meanwhile, the people of Kenya are suffering. You cannot feed people with words and semantics. You cannot solve the Kenyan problems with words and semantics. You can't. And neither can you use words to shield, mask, hide the truth. Like the US ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, who said in the same Eldoret that the 2022 presidential elections, according to analysts known to her, was the most free, fair, and democratic. That is a foreigner telling you Kenyans how your elections were. And in my very humble opinion, I don't need to say anything about that. We all saw that map during election. All of it was blue, the entire country. But how you can have the map of the entire Kenya blue, which is Azimio color, and then that blue still loses the election? That is common sense. How does that happen? So how was this election free and fair? Hey, and if indeed it was free and fair, open the servers and prove it. What is so difficult with opening the servers? You cannot tell people elections are over and that's it. Because even as you speak, you're speaking like we're under the old constitution. Hey, under the 2010 constitution, you cannot tell Kenyans that. Hawezi kupeana amri hivyo. No way! Especially over something so sensitive as your legitimacy in power. Did you win or did you not win? Why can't we find an easy way to find out if you really won? And when we can prove that you have won, then case closed. What is so hard with that? By the way, I would highly recommend my weekly intelligence briefings number 113, 113, which will give you the answer. Explain to you why the US ambassador is talking the way she is, and why UDA people are talking the way they are, as if they are under the old constitution. Okay, the shell-shocking answer is there, and by day 113 is already out. There's a very easy way to get it by purchasing my latest book, Tyranny of False Narratives. I will give you details on how you can use that shortcut to get that WAB so that you understand exactly what is happening here. Now I appeal to all of us who love our country called Kenya and who are following the politics closely, not to be fooled by narratives, fake, false narratives, not to be fooled by statements and speeches and the words, even if they're coming out of the powerful US, the ambassador to the country called Kenya. Don't be fooled, because the truth will always remain the truth. It cannot be skewed. You cannot use language to tell us that you just removed the mangoes from the tree to keep them safe, when we all know that you stole those mangoes. That is the truth, and it cannot change. So let us get to the naked truth of what is happening here. Throughout the flowery language and the narratives, political narratives, it is very clear that this government realized that if fuel prices in Kenya went beyond the 200 mark, there was no stopping them. And they also realized it would have very serious repercussions on the economy, which is already straining with high fuel prices, because they're not very far from 200. And I'm very grateful from the bottom of my heart, and we should all be grateful, that somebody came back to their senses and realized this. However, it is unfortunately too little, too late, because there are so many other critical things that this government has not yet seen. For example, the suffering of Kenyans. The way Kenyans are cornered and they're straining to survive, put food on the table, such basics, pay rent, etc., etc. That one they have not seen. And maybe they have not seen it because government officials are rich. People linked to UDA don't have any problems. They are buying houses in places like Karen, costing millions of shillings. They are wearing expensive watches, expensive sneakers, etc., etc. I don't think they realize what is happening to their fellow Kenyans. And that is one reason why we are stuck in trying to prove that the government stepping in to stabilize fuel prices was not a subsidy. It was something else. I don't know stabilization manenos. Okay? That is why we are stuck there. When we have very serious things happening, very serious things looming, because we know human nature. When people reach where Kenyans have reached, it is deadly, and it is deadly for all of us, not only the government. And in my opinion, it is even worse when a foreign diplomat jumps into the party, because it should be common sense. If you're a foreign diplomat in a foreign country, you need to be very sensitive to what is happening in that country, to what is happening to ordinary Kenyans. You need to measure your words carefully, because I can assure you the impact those words from the US ambassador had on a vast majority of Kenyans, that blue you saw on the Kenyan map during the elections, is devastating. Not good at all for a country that is supposed to be a friendly country to the nation called Kenya. Sometimes you can think that it is only you who is seeing, that you're all alone. But I'm very grateful that a lot of Kenyans can see through all this. For instance, on our Telegram forum, somebody predicted that this Mandago arrest is only cosmetic. That case will go nowhere. Or it may be like the Golden Bag and Anglo-leasing Manenos, which stayed in our courts for decades. And then finally, those involved were released. Case closed. Nothing happened. Kenya didn't lose any money. And if it did, it was such a long time ago. Let's forget it. Let's move on. That is the game being played in Kenya. And somebody predicted this Finland, Canada Manenos will go the same direction. And I have to agree. I have no evidence to dispute that prediction. That is precisely what has happened in our country again and again. And so, I have no ground to stand on to respond and say, this one will be different. I don't. I just have to agree with them. Now, of course, for the next few days, there'll be a lot of interesting stuff coming from Eldoret as the Devolution Conference continues until the 19th. And it is super fascinating that it is being held this time in this town called Eldoret. Eldoret has a very interesting history. Eldoret, I'm sure many of you don't know this, was started by people who walked there from Nakuru. Oh yes. Some Boers, Africans, all the way from South Africa, who came by sea to Mombasa, took the train to Nakuru, and then decided that they wanted to settle somewhere far from Nakuru. And therefore they walked on foot until the site where Eldoret is today. That was the year 1908. And that is how Eldoret was birthed, by some Mzungus from South Africa. Most fascinating past. But of course today Eldoret is the home of many Kenyan champions, athletes, who have brought glory to the country called Kenya. Its location is perfect as a high altitude training spot. And this town has been responsible for producing an endless belt of talent in the track that has brought many honors to the country called Kenya. Let me at least finish my video on that positive note. Now I hope you have been seeing details on your screens about how you can get my very latest sizzler of a book. I've not produced a book in a long time. That will help anybody understand why our politics have gone so wrong since the year 2013. Because everybody expected things to get better, especially after the new constitution was passed in 2010. But some very crazy things happened after 2010, and especially starting from 2013. So make sure you don't miss this landmark book. Of course, you'll also win 2 months free membership to my weekly intelligence briefings. Go for it. It's only $4.99, only Kenya shillings 499. And pop, you have all the previous WIBs, including the very latest that I've been talking about in this video. An amazing offer. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.